All right, welcome back, guys. So in this lecture, we're going to look at different types of CSS selector. Okay, so we already have an idea of the CSS selector. In this case, we are working with the P tag. Okay, so this P is an element, right? Well, is a tag, but the P opening tag, the content, and the closing tag all make up an element. So whenever you write a P here, we call this an element selector, okay, because it's selecting all of these elements. So it's an element selector. Now there are two other kinds of selectors, okay, and the first is a class and the second is an ID. Okay, an ID simply stands for like an identifier. Okay, so in this lecture we're going to look at those three kinds of selector. We've already looked at the P selector, so let's see. So first off, I'm just going to quickly delete this, and I'm going to delete this as well. Okay, so in this tutorial, we're going to be working with our internal styles or internal CSS. Okay, that's because I would not want to be going back and forth, adding styles to the page. So I basically, when I write my internal style, I can simply just copy it and paste it in my style.css file. Okay, but when we work in this tutorial, we're going to work with our internal styles CSS. Okay, so basically what I want to do now is I'm going to add a h1 tag, and I'll say okay, welcome to ZinoTrust. Okay, and basically I'm just going to save this and refresh the page to see what it looks like. So basically it's welcome to ZinoTrust h1 bold. Okay, now the first selector we talked about is the element selector. So I'm going to add a comment and I'll say element selector. So the selector basically is this h1 here that we used to add styles to the element. So I'm just going to say color, and I'll say red, and then I'll save. Now of course I know you already know what's going to happen. I'll refresh the page and the color is going to be red, right? So this is the first, and this is known as the element selector. Okay, so now the second is known as a class selector. Okay, and for you to use a class selector, you have to add it into the opening tag for your element. So I'm going to say class, and I'll say it's equals to, and remember, whenever we use equals to within our opening tag, we always put the value within the double quotes, right? All right, so I'll say class is equals to heading. So this class can be whatever you want. Okay, so now this is known as the class selector. Now first off, I'm going to delete the element selector. Oh, I don't want to delete it. I'm going to comment it out. So I'll just say control and hit /. So I've commented out the element selector. I'll leave some space, and then I'll write a comment and say class selector. Okay, let me make this class selector. All right, and now to select this class of heading, first off, let me save the document and refresh the page. So you see I commented out the element selector, and our HTML page is back to normal. Okay, our text is black. Now for the class selector, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start selecting this class by adding a dot. Okay, and then I'll say heading. So this dot is the syntax with which we find this heading right here, and then I'll give a space and curly braces. Okay, and I'll say color. This time I'll just say yellow, and then I'll save. So remember, our color is the property and yellow is the value. Now all of this from our opening tag down to from our opening curly braces down to our closing curly braces is known as a declaration. Okay, I think I did not say it specifically in the previous tutorial, but this is known as a declaration. Okay, so I'm going to hit save and refresh the page, and as you can see, our text is yellow. Well, this yellow is not nice at all. I'm just going to make this green, then I'll save and refresh. So our text is green. Okay, so this is known as the class selector. In other words, we are selecting the class within this HTML element. Okay, now I'm going to comment this out, and basically what I do to comment, I just highlight what I want to comment out, and then I press Ctrl and /. So Ctrl and /, and then I comment it out. And remember, when you comment something on your page, when you comment a part of your code, it becomes null and void. It doesn't affect the page. Okay, so now I would add an ID. So the last selector is the ID selector. So I'll just say ID, okay, which stands for identifier, and then I'll say equals, okay, if it's an ID, then I should put it before the class. So I'll just say ID equals, and then double quotes, and I'll say header, or I can say header hyphen text. Okay, so basically we can use two words that are connected by a hyphen or an underscore. We can even use numbers. Okay, so I can say header hyphen text 1, and then I'll save. All right, now to select this ID and use it to style this welcome to ZinoTrust H1 tag, basically what I gotta do is I'm gonna use the letter, the hash symbol. Okay, and then I'll say header hyphen text 1, which is exactly what we have here in our ID. And then I'll normal CSS syntax, I'll put my curly braces, and then I'll say color, and I'll say this time I'll say blue. Okay, so blue, sorry, that should be E, and then I'll add my closing semicolon, and then I'll save. Now if I refresh the page, the color becomes blue. So essentially we've seen three ways to select our HTML elements. The first is using the element selector. Okay, the second is using the class selector, and the third is using the ID selector. But the question is, what's the difference between an ID and a class selector? Okay, so basically you can only use an ID once within a page. So you use it for elements that are unique. For example, a page has only one heading, like a welcome header or something like that, so you use an ID just once to select the header. Okay, but the class can be used for more than one element. Okay, for example, on a page there could be 10 paragraphs. Okay, if you want to style the paragraph, all the 10 paragraphs, it doesn't make sense to add different IDs and start styling each of them. Instead, you can add a class to the 10 paragraphs and write your style once, and then it will it will take effect on the 10 paragraphs. Okay, so basically as we go along, you would understand this concept better. Okay, so we use an ID once for a unique element, okay, on a page, but a class, we can use it several times to apply a single style to multiple HTML elements. All right, so thank you for watching this tutorial. See you in the next one.